Is it a mere reflection of our world or a force that shapes it? From the battle cries of the revolution to the brushstrokes that dare us to dream, artists have long been the architects of social change. But in today's digital age, where attention spans are fleeting and causes countless, can art still ignite the fires of transformation? Enter the Slants Foundation, a nonprofit organization that is daring to experiment at the intersection of creativity and activism. For years, the Slants Foundation has been quietly cultivating a new breed of artist warriors, arming them with the funding, mentorship, and a mission to drive social change through the universal language of art. I'm Sumi Krishnan, and this is Asian PaCIVICS, where music isn't just observed, but harnessed as a catalyst for change. Join us as we pull back the curtain and share the true stories of the rebels and visionaries who believe that art can break barriers and open up possibilities like nothing else. Jennifer, welcome to Asian PaCIVICS, the show. We are so excited to have you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sumi. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So today we're going to dive into Jennifer's unique story. As an artist and someone passionate about social change, she ran into some very real world challenges that shaped her story in this program in a specific way that we'll get into that reflects the challenges that artists face and change makers face in today's society. So let's jump in first into your personal story as an artist. Where do you live and where's your family from?
Well, so I currently live in Seattle. My family is originally from Jiangxi, China, so that's southeast part of China. I was born there, and then I moved to Portland, Oregon when I was 14.
When did you first fall in love with music?
Well, my family has been pretty musical growing up. My mom used to be a singer, not a professional, like that's not her full-time job, but she was super into singing, and she kind of taught me how to sing from a young age. She encouraged me to sing, and like whenever there's a song that has a challenging like belting voice, she'd be like, you can do it, like try it. We would go on like road trips.
Did you consider yourself a singer when she was encouraging you?
Nope. I actually always thought that my mom was a better singer than me, but recently we had this interesting conversation where she's like, I think you're a better singer than me. But yeah, but I think she really loved seeing me becoming a musician and becoming a singer, because she never forced me or pressured me to go into this path. But I kind of discovered it myself and fell in love with it. And I think she was really proud of me when she saw me performing last year. So
you were about to tell a story about you were road tripping before I cut you off.
We would do a lot of road trips, family road trips, and my mom, we did a lot of car karaoke growing up. It was hours of singing, and I remember she would kind of teach me how to switch between like chest voice or like head voice, like stuff like that. But it was never, like a formal lesson, but she just kind of would sprinkle it in during some family time.
That's so cool that you had that family support in music, which is rare.
Yeah.
Right. Was there a turning point in your life where you realized this is something you wanted to do almost professionally?
In high school, I became more obsessed with music, and I started playing guitar. Like I was taking guitar lessons, looked up on YouTube, started singing.
Taught yourself guitar?
Kind of taught myself. Yeah, I took lessons for a month, and then I realized it's a lot of practicing and just spending time playing on your own. So I ended up just kind of taught myself on YouTube. About 2 years ago, when COVID started, like everybody else, I was looking for a new hobby. So I started taking drumming lessons just for fun. And I was taking private drumming lessons with a teacher in Seattle, and we were doing drumming lessons for like a year. We would spend time like every week, and he really introduced me to the world of rock and made me fall in love with it. He, at the end of the year, so this is kind of a sad story. At the end of the year, I found out that he actually passed away from cancer, but he didn't tell any of his students that he had it. So I was on my way back from a ski trip, and I really remember that moment because it was so shocking and like heartbreaking for me. But I was in the car, stuck in traffic, driving back from Stevens Pass, and I just got an email from my lesson manager, and it was her saying, hey, I just want to let you know, John, that's his name, had passed away from cancer last night, but he wanted to let you know that you were a huge part of his life and that he really enjoyed teaching you and you brought a lot of joy to his life.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, that was a lot to process because obviously I did not know that he was sick. But in hindsight, I was, putting two and two together. He was wearing a hat all the time. Like, he did talk about he has some health issues briefly, and sometimes he wouldn't be able to make it to lessons. But, I didn't know. So yeah, there was a lot of, grieving and just figuring out, like, processing that feeling of having this mentor in music that's just gone. And, he was such a great teacher, because I think in a way, finding a mentor and teacher is like finding a therapist. It's kind of a hit or miss. And I think we were such a great match, and he taught me so much that it was really hard for me to like process that he passed and I would never be able to talk to him again.
But he shared with you something that stuck with you and probably shaped your future, would you say?
Yeah, so basically we got to the point where after playing drums for a year, he was like, you've improved a lot, but if you want to become even better drummer, a true musician, you have to go out and put yourself out there and play with other people. And at the time I was, stranger danger, and like it was COVID. I really didn't feel like, I was like, I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody in the area. Like, I don't know how to reach out and meet other people. But then he was really funny. He was like, well, I mean, don't you guys like do like Facebook or something? Like, isn't that how...
Can't you open up the Facebook?
Yeah, isn't that how internet works? Like, and I was like, oh, John, funny, haha, like, but I was intimidated. Part of it was me being a new drummer. Part of it is me just kind of scared of, honestly, is stepping out of my comfort zone and like put myself out there. But I think he's, the news of him like passing away really shocked me and really pushed me to
heed his advice.
Yeah, his advice really pushed me to put myself out there, because I was like, I have nothing to lose anymore. And how do I honor him and his time and his effort of teaching me? And my way of doing it was, I'm going to put myself out there, and I want to continue playing drums. I want to continue making music. I want to continue learning rock. And if it's not from him, it will be on my own way, which is, putting myself out there and play with other people. So that's kind of...
If you'd like to learn more about Asian Pacifics, including how to get involved or support the work of the Slants Foundation, please visit theslants.org. So did you meet your band that you're currently in from Facebook?
That is correct. I know that's crazy, but I met everybody on Facebook. There's a Facebook group called Seattle Musicians.
Yeah.
Meet Seattle Musicians.
Okay.
And really, it was a strange timing. I'm a spiritual person too, so I do believe everything happened for a reason.
Yeah.
I remember I was just, still processing and feeling really sad about my drumming teacher passing, and was just scrolling on Facebook, and I found this Facebook group, and my guitarist currently in my band made this post saying, hey, like I'm currently in a band and I've played guitar for years, but I would love to meet new musicians and start another band where we can actually write our own music. And it was like punk rock music, which is exactly what I was looking for. So I was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose at this point. I just messaged him on Facebook, and the rest is history.
So you guys got together, and then the other members of your band also found through Facebook.
Yeah.
And you created a band called Ember Mist. Okay. So you've been performing and writing with them for how long?
At this point, about a year and a half.
Okay.
A year.
As an artist, you also have had for a while a passion for social change and social impact, right? So it's a part of your expression, but it's also a means to make a difference in the world, would you say?
Yeah.
All right, so you ended up talking to an organization called API Chaya for this project with the Slants Foundation for Asian Pacifics.
API Chaya is a nonprofit organization based in Seattle, and their mission is to help survivors or victims of gender-based violence and sexual abuse, and help training bystanders and volunteers and providing resources for them.
So you got involved with this organization that was tackling gender-based violence, which is a really intense subject, an important one. But where did your passion for that work come from?
So there's some personal stories related to the topic. I think the first one is, as an Asian girl growing up in the Pacific Northwest or just in the States, I think I've experienced people use the term yellow fever. Like, I've definitely had some personal experience with that, of just people reaching out or catcalling because of my race. And that was a very uncomfortable experience. But it's funny because I start sharing those stories with my close friends who are also young Asian females, and I realize it's a very common experience. But we were told to suck it up, or like that's normal, or just ignore, nobody actually was able to speak out loud and say like, hey, that's actually not okay, because it did cause a lot of discomfort and even like some personal trauma. For instance, like one time I was supporting a friend. This friend was an EDM artist, so they were at a club and they were doing some EDM show music performance. And the entire night, I had this one guy that kept like hitting on me. Really, he did not know anything about me except how I look, or that he made some comment about me being a cute Asian girl. That was very uncomfortable, and despite me kept saying no and telling him like, hey, like I'm not interested, having my friends pushing him away, he would not back off. And he ended up at the end of the night, kind of touched or grabbed my arm without my permission. And didn't realize how traumatized it was until a couple months later. I had a hair appointment, and I had just my hairstylist. I didn't know her at the time, but she was just touching my hair and trying to figure out what we can do with my hair. I think her touching my hair really triggered me, and I just started sobbing at the hair salon, and immediately was like, I need to leave. I'm sorry, I can't continue with the appointment anymore. I had to like call an Uber and get home, and I just sobbed on my couch for like 2 hours. That's when I realized, oh wow, that experience of feeling objectified and having strangers touching me, grabbing me without my permission, was traumatizing.
That you've been dealing with your whole life, probably your whole adult life.
Yep. Yeah.
And having to say, okay, I just have to suck it up, deal with it, not a big deal, move on. You finally realized, hold on, it is a big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal. And I mean, even I guess another story that was related to the topic is my cousin, my older cousin. I'm not super close with her because we have a huge age gap, and she's actually still in China, so it's kind of hard to maintain that relationship. But I remember when we were younger, like we used to spend a lot of time together. Like we would take swimming lessons. We had a lot of really fun memories. And in a way, I remember when I was younger, I saw her as a older sister more than a cousin.
Yeah.
But we kind of grew apart, and we lost touch. The recent news was she got married a few years ago to a guy, and she just stopped like talking to our family, even her mom, in a way, after she got married. And at first I was really confused, but then I found out from my mom, her aunt, that this guy allegedly there was some abuse going on, and we were trying to reach out to her and like talk to her about it, but she was so isolated and almost refused to talk to us. In a way, it kind of felt like we lost her.
That's so sad.
Yeah, and
Because
that
when you're in those situations, that's so common because people don't know how to get out and there's so much shame around it. So is that some of what work API Chaya does to kind of combat?
exactly. So they offer a lot of obviously resources for survivors and victims, but at the same time they also provide training programs for volunteers, you know, for like the supporters like us, like family members or friends, to teach them how to support victims in those areas, which I think is really, really cool. And I kind of wish I knew about it earlier, and maybe in a way I could stop my cousin from where she's at now.
Maybe you still could.
Maybe I still could.
Okay, so you thought, all right, well, this is an organization you clearly, you're passionate about their work, their mission, want to support and amplify their cause. So you started working with the Asian PaCIVICS program, and you wrote a song, or had written a song, called Takeaway, based on your personal story, your personal experience, right? And then you shared it with API Chaya. So your story is unique to the series of interviews because something different happens at the end of it, which is real, which is what happens when you're looking to serve the art and serve a cause. And sometimes there's nuances that come up. So tell us what happened when you shared your song with them.
So unfortunately, there were some communication blocks and some misscheduling. So we didn't really have our first formal meetup or conversation until a couple weeks ago, actually. And when I finally was able to reach out and talk to the program coordinator and shared my song, I think, well, first off, it was a very helpful conversation, and they were able to provide a lot of really helpful feedback, and they gave me some stories from the survivors and some keynote speaker videos for me to watch to learn more about what the victims actually went through. And after watching those videos, I just realized, it is a very heavy topic to talk about. And I think the song Takeaway, obviously I wrote it based on my personal experience. And while that it is valid and is part of the story, it didn't really capture the survivor side of the story.
It was almost two different experiences, both valid, but just different.
Yeah, I think it was just the degree of heaviness and like
the gravity
of the story. I just realized, hey, like, even though my story is valid, but it's not going to capture that part of it.
Okay.
And it was very difficult to realize that, you know, because I want to write a song that really represents their mission and, advocate for their survivors.
Yeah. What did your song talk about?
My song talked more about my friends and our personal experience getting catcalled or like having people reaching out to us because of our race, the discomfort of that, and the fact that like nobody's talking about it and we're just told to be like, suck it up, like don't talk about it. It is normal, like every Asian girl gets that, like that side of the story. And there's a lot of like anger in it and a lot of like, you can't take away my voice. That's kind of where that song was coming from. Whereas the survivor stories, I think there's some overlaps, but just to your point earlier, the gravity of it, I just don't want to write a song that misrepresent or disrespect that side of the story.
So you then started listening to some of their survivor stories and watched their trainings and things like that. And what did it spark in you?
Yeah, I mean, first I just had like this complete new song idea from really watching their stories, and felt complete different emotions around this topic, and really kind of had a grasp of how much and how heavy and how valuable that experience was. And then, like API Chaya, we talked about if there is any upcoming volunteer programs, like I would love to be a part of that and, you know, meet some survivors and interview them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of what sparked in me, and I just really wanted, to be honest, to rewrite the story and rewrite the song and starting from scratch. And
so with the Asian PaCIVICS program then, like you were also trying to balance like real world challenges, right? Of having a full-time job and having a band, Ember Mist, that was the crux of what got you into music and writing to actually make an impact, right? Writing the song and looking to work with API Chaya. So there's a lot going on in your life.
There is. Yeah. There is definitely a lot. That's actually something I've been working on recently, is to how do I prioritize the things I really want to do instead of saying yes out of obligations.
Right.
That is a personal struggle that I have, and I'm sure many of us have, because we're all busy and have so many things we want to do. But yeah, part of the reason initially when I started this program, I was super excited about exploring who I am outside of being a band singer and outside of Ember Mist and outside of even rock and what that looks like for me. And I've learned a lot through this program. I've learned a lot through writing the songs, talking to other artists on the program, mentors. So definitely still a very valuable experience for me. But something else I learned too through this program is, like sometimes I just have to have a reality check and accept that sometimes it's okay to not be able to deliver what I think I can deliver, and
inside the time frame, especially when it's art and when it's something as important as, you know, people's true stories.
Yeah. And again, like going back to my earlier point of like not just wanting to write a song out of obligations or meeting a timeline, but really honoring that survivor side of experience, because it's such a personal and heavy thing to talk about. And
now you're also going through a transformation in terms of like thinking about pursuing your own voice, which is related to the topic at hand, right?
Yeah.
Pursuing your own voice in your music versus writing for your band.
Yeah. I have been exploring a lot of what it means outside of being an Ember Mist, and sometimes I just write silly songs about my feelings and my emotions, and it's been going great. Like I've been picking up, you know, Logic Pro, GarageBand, and like see what it'd be like to produce sound as well. And I didn't tell my bandmates about it yet, but I think they're pretty supportive. It's really cool to kind of step outside of punk rock and pop rock and not having to like belt and, you know, having so much energy all the time when I'm singing. But like, what about a slow R&B song? But like putting emotions, and how do we like craft that experience and that art? And that's been super fun for me to explore.
Do you find that one genre or the other is more true to who you are, or you're able to play in all spaces?
Yeah, I think like everyone has so many different sides of us, and I think they're all me. Like they all represent different parts of me. I still love who I am on stage as a punk rock singer, but I also love this new voice that I'm finding that's more mellow and like, you know, playing acoustic guitar and just quiet in the corner, like R&B, writing what it'd be like as a normal mid-20 young musician who's exploring my life and my path. I love that part of me as well. And I honestly feel very happy that I found it, because I've been feeling so much more like myself ever since I started doing these tiny little recordings at home. Again, like it's not even just a musician journey. It's like for me as a person, you know, my self-growth, like that's kind of huge. I've been writing a lot more ever since I kind of removed the pressure of like, no, I have to write this like big story that represent what it'd be like to be a survivor. And I think in the past, I've put a lot of pressure on myself to be like, I have to write something that's deep and, you know, like that's ideal, that's perfect, that represent something significant. But honestly, I've been exploring and I've been just writing random things. Like I remember I wrote about tacos the other day, and I wrote about, meeting this really cute girl at a grocery store and like feeling butterflies from it. And that was, just silly things. And it's been really fun to play with that and realize that music doesn't have to be heavy and deep all the time. It doesn't have to be, talking about a huge mission or a story.
I think that's a really good lesson for artists and activists everywhere, is like when you remove the pressure, you can actually do better work.
Yeah.
Right? You can actually serve your cause and your mission and what you're doing in the world in a better way.
Yeah.
Well, it was really nice hearing your true story of your work, your art, your mission, and how it's all evolving and to be continued.
Yeah, to be continued. I'm excited for this journey.
At the Slants Foundation, we believe in the transformative power of art. Our mission is to empower Asian American creators across the nation, providing them with the resources they need to make a difference. Through programs like Asian PaCIVICS, we provide financial support, mentorship, and coaching to artists working on cause-driven campaigns. We've worked with hundreds of artists across the country to create music, film, theater, and art that helps civic engagement and connection. We help artists turn their passion for creativity into a force for social change. And since the Slants Foundation is completely volunteer-driven, 100% of donations go directly into supporting arts and activism. Join us in our mission. Visit theslants.org to learn more.